Hello yogis. This class is, I'm going to affectionately call Pigeon in a Tree. We're going to work on external rotation at the hips in a few different ways and in kind of a novel way. This is a level 1-2 Vinyasa flow. So I will be giving some options for those of you who are newer to the practice. And as well as some options for some challenge if you have been practicing for a little while. So let's begin by exploring hip rotation. And we often, crank away at the hips and we sometimes get discomfort in the knees, sometimes even in the ankles, especially if trying to get into a half lotus position. So let's explore how that external rotation can come all the way from the feet before we get moving. So bring your right knee in, and I'm sorry I'm not mirroring you. Once we get flowing, I won't be mirroring you, so I'm just gonna not start now. Hug your shin in tightly and hold on to the shin so that you can kind of keep it still. Like you can even feel the shin bone and kind of make sure that that stays still. And then holding that there, just externally rotate the toes to the outside and then toes to the inside. And try to keep the shin bone still here so that you're just moving from the ankle. And explore that option and notice the degree of movement in your ankle without the shin bone moving. Okay, then move your hands to the kind of the back of your hamstring and keep the foot flexed and take your left fingers and put them on your shin bone. And just so that you can really see that spot there. And then think about turning your heel in and then your heel out. So rather than using the toes as your target, use your heel. And notice how now the shin bone is actually rotating back and forth. And that action happens from the knee. So the knee is actually a rotating joint. It's not just a hinge joint, as we sometimes like to think of it. Okay. And then extend your leg in front of you and kind of keeping everything else pretty much still, bend your knee just a little bit so that you can kind of see the shin bone there. And then using just the hip, externally rotate the leg. And notice, so only using the hip, don't engage at the knee or the ankle. Just see how close those pinky toes get to the floor. Okay, now starting at the ankle, so bring your knee back to upright. Starting at the ankle, just move the ankle. Then try to just move the shin bone. So think about spinning the heel in. Then externally rotate from the hip. And notice maybe how much closer your pinky toes get to the floor. So we can distribute the rotation through the entire leg, and that can sometimes get us a little bit more range of motion. So let's try. Inhale, lift your right leg. Exhale, bring your right knee into your nose. Cross your right leg underneath you and set the outer edge of your right foot on the floor. So your right leg is straight. And then just begin to sink your hips towards the floor. Try to keep your left toes tucked so that your hips stay relatively square to the front edge of your mat. Get a nice stretch for the outer edge of your right leg. Breathe. And then push into your hands, make a little bit of space. Slide your right foot so that it's, again, behind the left hand block. Corkscrew your leg, so pinky toes, shin, bring your right knee behind the left hand block. Sneak your left knee back as far as you can so that your right shin is roughly parallel with the front edge of your mat. And then sink your hips towards the floor. Now try to find some sense of tree pose in your right leg. So as if your right foot was pushing into your left inner thigh. So even though you're in this pigeon shape and not tree pose, can you find that activation of the right leg? And then maybe you can sink your hips a little bit further. Chest up. Inhale here. And then move your blocks out of the way. You can stay upright, or you can start to walk your body forward over your right shin. But keep that activation of as if your right foot was standing on something, as if you were pushing your right foot into your left inner thigh. And then take a few breaths here. Maybe invoking the imagery from the beginning of class where the inhales lift the inseam of your leg and the exhales relax the outer seam of your leg towards the floor. And then start to bring yourself up and have your blocks handy, but start to walk your left knee forward to behind your right heel. Pick your right foot up and set your right toes on the floor so that your leg is kind of in a figure 4 shape as it was before. And then set your right knee down on the floor, trying to bring it as much in line with your left knee as possible. So it may be up here if that's where your flexibility is, but try to bring it back by your left knee. And then maybe use your blocks to help you come up and just start to breathe some space into the front of the hips. So you may have your blocks a little higher. You may be able to get all the way up to where you are standing. The effort is to try to pull your right knee back and press your hips forward. Work with care and just breathe. Now bring your hands to your blocks, and on your inhale, push your hips forward. On your exhale, start to send your hips back and bring your butt towards your left heel. So you're in this kind of figure 4 shape here. On your inhale, set your right toes down, your right knee down, push your hips forward, maybe look up. On your exhale, bring your butt back towards your heels, sit back and fold over your right shin. Inhale, set the right toes down, the right knee down, push your hips forward, and exhale, butt towards your heel, forward fold. Inhale one more time, come up to this kind of figure 4 camel shape. And then inhale your right arm to the ceiling. Maybe grab your left hamstring with your left hand and maybe start to tip yourself back. If your work is purely just to open the hip crease and that's where you are, then you may stay there. Otherwise, take a few breaths trying to open up the front of the body. And then find that corkscrewing action of the right leg, right pinky toe. Right shin, right thigh spinning out. And then come back up, let your hands find your blocks, tuck your left toes, push into your blocks, and come back, walk yourself back so that you're standing on your left foot. Maybe reposition the right foot as needed, but find the corkscrewing action of the whole right leg. Bring your hands to prayer in front of your heart, sink your butt. Breathe. Really finding that corkscrew action of the right leg. And then grab your big toe with your peace sign fingers and come to standing. And you can either do this whole series with your knee bent, or if you can extend your leg, so your leg may be partially bent, and you can do both stages just like this, but extend your right leg fully if you can. Stand up nice and tall, inhale. On your exhale, spin your whole leg out to the right. So spin the right heel in, right toes out, and start to extend the right leg out to the right. Try to stay balanced on your left leg. Take a breath here. And then just start to bend through your right knee, and here it comes, tree pose, hooray. So grab your right ankle, set your right heel into your left inner thigh, but before you set the toes down, I'm going to turn to face you, before you set the toes down, spin the toes towards your left hamstring, so you're turning your foot out a little bit more. And then spin your shin towards the floor, press your foot into the thigh and the thigh into the foot. Spin the shin towards the floor and think about spiraling that action all the way up to the right hip. Bring your hands to prayer in front of your heart and breathe. So keep thinking about spinning the whole right leg from the pinky toe, shin, knee, thigh bone, hip. Pressing the right foot into the left thigh into the right foot equally. And then release the right foot with control and just cross it back over the left knee. And start to bend deeply through the left knee again. And then lean out over your shin so that your body, you're not fully forward folding over that shin just yet. And just grab the right heel with your right hand and start to spin yourself open to the left. Now this may be where you are, or you may be able to get your right elbow to the sole of the right foot and bring your hands to prayer. Keep pulling your right knee towards the floor, maybe pulling your prayer hands to your chest, and breathe. And then square yourself off so that you're facing the right shin. And then hold on to the right foot with your left hand and the right knee with your right hand. And pull your chest over your shin. And maybe you can hug the right leg and keep trying to pull your chest forward and over the shin. Try to make your spine long. Breathe. So you're facing this way on your mat. Maybe you can bring your hands to the floor. Sinking your butt further, looking forward. And then keep your leg in the figure four. Find your blocks. And see if you can walk yourself forward to downward facing dog. Hands on blocks. With your legs still crossed in figure four. Push your hips up and back. And bring yourself forward to plank with figure four leg. Maybe corkscrew your hands into the blocks and lower to chaturanga with figure four leg. Extract your right leg, set the tops of the feet on the floor. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, downward facing dog.